I think I was not good in other things when I went to school, when I was small. I have a sort of personal defect. I cannot do mathematics. It's called dyscalculia. So I had to draw because I was a really bad pupil. When I went to school, everybody said, you will get a drawer, you should do something with that. It's when you can sing good or are good in football or things like that. It's the same. Everybody says, oh, that would be your profession, so you believe it by yourself. And then it's going on. I studied it in Hamburg at the School of Applied Art. I think it's not only authors, it's artists too. I think when I was young I looked a lot at Wilhelm Busch, of course, it's a German, very old one, and Ludwig Richter, and even the old masters. It's very interesting to look at Bruegel, Van Gogh, things like that. I always looked at. And then I think one of my biggest heroes is Tove Jansson from Finland. I love her. For me, she's the best, I think. And the Mumien figures and so on, I always looked at. When I was a child, I admired a lot the Petsy Pingo Pelle, we call it in Germany. It is a bear, a penguin, and pelicano. These are figures which are really much connected with my illustration and my remembering. And then, of course, later there came Maurice Sendak and in F.K. Wächter, muchos otras. Sometimes pictures are coming by dreaming. I know a lot of illustrators, comic illustrators, who do that in that way. They really illustrate their dreams. I have everywhere notebooks and things like that. I learned that from F.K. Wächter. Near the bed he had a notice book and everywhere. And I asked him that, and he said, well, ideas are so slippery, the same thing. You should notice it immediately. And sometimes I do. I notice them in the moment they are coming. And sometimes I wonder, a year after, I'm looking into my notice books and I see these old ideas, and I said, what is that? What may be that? I don't remember. I think Schreimutter was one of the books I did in that way, not by dreaming. I told it for a sleepy time story for my son. And then I came out of the bedroom and I draw it. I just for remember. It can only be some words, just for remember. And then I wrote it down and put it into my case and forgot it until about 6 or 10 years after I took it out. And I remembered, and then I did the book. And sometimes, if you go up in the morning and start up busy, you will lose everything. You need an hour or two where you sit down and remember things and write down things and have a tea and another tea and another tea. And then you need to start in calm, I think. This I do. Sometimes in the night I go up and notice something. If illustration is a minor art that's upsetting me, of course it is, because it's my work. And I'm fighting for respect of it in between of the other arts, and I often recognize that the fine art, the painters, the sculptor, they are thinking they have the primary art, and I think illustration is the very old book art, and it's so important, and people don't respect it because it's just for children. But I think also things for children may be important, and it's I think it's making me sad that society is ignoring the caring about children and educating children. If you see the city of Hamburg, they are building very big and very expensive things for opera and for theater and for fine art. And they closed the children's book house just now. They are not giving money for that. And this is, I think, we should work on that, because if you make children see arts and colors and forms and make them be touched by that, they will later on go into the opera. And so it would be good to train the children of the low classes to see that things and to see art and to see books and so on. It's important. Doing something about Hamburg might be interesting. I thought a lot in the last time about doing again. I did it for lots of years for a woman magazine, cartoons for grown-ups. And when I think about doing that again, I always stop in a point, because I think it's a lot of work and you should think about a lot of figures, not only my person in Hamburg. I think I would find characters who are acting in a cartoon like that. And often people ask me for that. Even my editor from the Lappan editor from Selma book, he said to me when he saw my card for Christmas, I always do something like a small comic about my life. And when he saw that, he always said, this is what you're perfect in, and you should do that again and do that more. And I think about that. I think when we worked together with a magazine for homeless in Hamburg, I offered them to do that for their magazine, because I think that could be an interesting perspective on my city. The life of the homeless in Hamburg, which is a very rich city, and the life of somebody like me or somebody else living quite settled in a city like mine. So you could do two levels, the homeless level and the settled people level. I think that would be interesting to do. I thought about that and I offered it to them and they did not answer until now. So maybe they are not interested in. Always the person you are, you cannot hide in your work. So I am like I am, and all my fights and all my struggles and all my opinions are coming into the work. So it's always a whole. And I will not hide it because I think it's quite necessary to talk about things like that. And I think it would be boring just to talk about bees or, oh, bees are quite interesting. It's not wrong. It's not right. But you always have to think about the whole. And I try to do it. Sometimes when I began working for children books and you're sitting alone in your atelier and thinking about stories, I always had some fear that I will get lost and I will lose the contact to the problems of the whole, of the normal working class people. I don't know what they are caring about and what are their problems. When I was young, I was a sort of hippie and communist girl, and I tried to be. I was not perfect. I was born in, when I was 13, it was 1968. In Germany it was quite important, and so with the first Beatles songs and so on, we started to think about revolution. And this is what is my socialization, and I cannot get out, and I will not. So it's always following me, the old 1968 Jutta is always one part of myself, even getting older. my activities in Chile, in Venezuela, Peru, South America and other parts of the world I was to, I think there's a lost teacher in me, and I did not see it when I was young because my father was a very good teacher, so something of him is in mine. So I like that. I like working with children, even I like working with students. I admire the work the children do, how they work, and I think this is giving something back to me. Sometimes I'm sitting at home at my table and thinking about the workshops, and I see the pictures the children do, and I wonder why I don't work like that, because I'm so impressed by the pictures they do. They are so simple and so colorful and so telling so much. And if you are getting older in your work, you are getting a lot of more virtuosity, I think, virtuosität, and you leave that. As Picasso said once, he said, when I was 19 I could draw, paint like Raphael, and it took the whole life to get back to paint like a child. So I think this is what I learned from them. And sometimes I wonder why I don't do that, what they do. I offer them to do big things, very big paintings with the very big pencils, and sometimes I think I would like to do things like that too, and not sitting on my table and painting, illustrating small pictures. Maybe I learn, maybe I will do now. The difference between words and drawings I cannot see. I think a word can be the same, like a drawing. For me it's easier to tell things by drawing, because it's my way to talk. But I think drawing is not more or not better. You even can tell a lot by singing or by doing painting or music or sports or whatever you think. So I think important is that you do it, I don't know how to say, you do it with your whole heart and a spirit of tolerance, and you want to tell something with that, and you don't do it just for getting money or just for the spending time. And everything you do in that way is telling a lot for children and is educating. And sometimes, the last book I did in Germany, it's not edited in Spain, I started to write small stories, and it was quite hard for me to write and illustrate my own small stories. But I tried, I wanted to. I don't believe in angels. I did that book and I used the figure, the character of an angel, but I don't believe in angels. The angel in the book is just a character for, I think, for optimism and for the spirit parents and grandparents can give to their children. I think everybody has, in a way, has something is protecting you, and it's coming to you, and the important thing is that you don't know if you have it or not. Of course, I have something that's giving me the ideas and so on. They are coming to me. I'm not looking for them, and for me it seems to be a wonder how it happens that you have ideas and that you have stories and that you find pictures, and you have to be, I don't know the English word, humiled for the ideas and the things which are coming to you. So I think there's not a big difference between people who believe in angels and people who believe in a sort of spirit that's giving you the ideas. The only thing I believe is that I'm not doing it just by myself and by my mind. Something is happening and I don't know how it's coming. Of course, then you can change it by yourself. You have to be intelligent to use it and so on. But there are always things I don't know how and why. it works like that. When you ask about animals in the books and children's books especially, if I think children like it more, I don't know. I don't know. When I was a child, I liked much Patsy. You see, my bear Emma is a sort of young brother of Patsy Bear because he has the same trouser. So when I was a child, I loved books with animals, but nowadays I think for an illustrator it's easier, for an author también, it's easier to hide the problems into animal characters, because animals, they are more like a sign, like a symbol. They are very simple. They are very special. When you have a sheep's always standing for being calm and being, in a way, silly, I think. And penguins, they are so funny. So I think they are more funny like a human being. But I don't know. I think it's a cause of hiding things behind it. Even for a child, may be easier to accept, or what's happening in Schreimutter to the penguin, that it's cut in pieces. I think it's very brutal to do that with a child. People would not buy that. So with a penguin, with an animal, it's one step more abstraction, and so you can do it. You can say hard things better when you do have more abstraction, I think. It doesn't mean that it's more sweet or more funny. It's more hidden. The origin of most of my books may be my son, of course. With Schreimutter, with Marta Chilona, it was a different thing, because I especially made it for him, because I wanted to say sorry to him, because I cried at him the day. But so it is. I think it's something special. And with the Juli books, it was like that. That Kirsten Boye had written the books, the text, and we both had small children at that time, and I could really illustrate one-to-one what I saw at home. It was really easy to illustrate that, because it was my home world. Because Jasper was at that time just in the same age like Juli, and of course when you do that, then you always do the equipment you have in your head. You have a sort of archive of figures, and also of ambientes and houses, and it's like in the theater. You go back and you open the door and you take the things you need. So in my head it was my son, of course. I painted my son. No, I think both should exist. I'm interested in motion, always look at them. So you can imagine that it's very funny to do the motion, because it's one part of illustration, motion, I think. But I think a paper book, has something very good that you can talk about that. And I think it's so necessary that parents and teachers and the grown-ups talk with children about the books, not just read the text. Talk about how do you feel in that situation, and what's happening here, and what is when you are in that situation, how do you feel then, and so on. So this is easier with a book, when you can look at the picture and at the picture for a long time, and you see lots of different things which you don't see when it's going fast like a film. But maybe you can work in that way very good with e-books, because I think you can move things. They did one from the Queen of Colors in Denmark, and I was very interested in. I have not seen it yet. I will see it now at the Bologna Book Fair, and I was hoping they did some effects to change the colors. The red is coming and then the yellow is coming and then they mix both and get orange. The children can play with that. So I think that would be a good thing to do. If you use it just like a book, maybe it's good for traveling or things like that. But I think the interesting part is that children can move things by themselves, and especially for the Queen of Colors it would be really good. Well, there in Santiago de Compostela, there was a storyteller who did this sort of theater about my book, and I was so touched from that because it was so really great to see how another person is acting with my story, and they did it really good, I think, with this sort of penguin with the arms thrown away. It was funny, and I loved it. And I had other theater experiences before. Of course, they did the Queen of Colors. They did in a lot of theaters, and also the El Ángel del Abuelo they did. And most times I had a lot of fear, especially the first times. And I didn't really want them to do that because I had fear they change something and they do it kitschig and they do it not in the way I would like it. So the first time they played the Queen of Colors, I did not want to see it. They asked me if I would join when they try, but I said no, I won't do. I will come to the premiere. And then I came, and I was hardly crying because it was so great, and it was just in my sense, and it was so sensible and so good. And from that on, I allowed it more and more, and I was more and more interested in. And it's a little bit, I think it's like letting children out of your hand. They are walking alone, and you want to grab them and don't want them to do them things you cannot drive. But when you see it's good and they can do it, so you let them go. And this is what's happening now with the things. I'm always happy when I see how different people do it. It's so good. Even the Santiago, the storyteller, he was so good because it was so simple. He did not do a lot of motion, a lot of music, and a lot of pictures and colors. He did it just with the penguin and himself and the guitar player. How the Andersen Prize changed my life. Oh, I think not much, because what we always do not recognize is that the children book family is quite small. And out of that small children book world, nobody knows about Andersen Prize and things like that, so it doesn't change so much, I think. I don't know how the others feel like with that. I think you should always feel small below your work and below your talents, and you should feel humbled. And so I think if that is the main thing, it cannot change you, because you do your work, you think about what's important for you, so you do what you have to do. And I think it doesn't change a lot. So like Herta Müller said, it was interesting when she won the Nobel Prize. She said, when I'm at home and frying my eggs, I'm always the same. It's like me, I think.